Welcome. So glad you tuned in on Leap of Faith as we explore Ethos. Ethos is about the characteristic spirit of our Catholic culture. It is about trust, credibility, authority. We partner with the University of Dayton as we seek to explore critical issues of our church that help us to broaden our perspective and reimagine our faith. Take the leap with us. Explore the religious imagination. Welcome to Ethos. And our theme for today is spiritual conversations in a digital age. We have with us three very special guests from the University of Dayton. We have Sister Angela Ann Zukowski, we have Richard Drabik, and we have Noelle Collis Devito. Noelle coordinates various programs for the University of Dayton students regarding faith and ministry formation. She's worked with the Archdiocese of Cincinnati as the director of the Office for Persons with Disabilities, and currently she serves on the National Catholic Partnerships on Disability Advisory Board while working on her master's. So, Noelle, welcome. And we have Richard. Richard Drabik has been a team member and leader of the University of Dayton's virtual learning community for faith formation for over 20 years. He works closely with the virtual learning community, 6,500 online students, guiding the 195 instructors and consulting with diocesan partners worldwide. So, Richard, welcome. And Sister Angela Ann is no stranger either to this Archdiocese or to the Caribbean. She has collaborated with the Caribbean School for Catholic Communications, CRADI, and Living Water Community, and various dioceses throughout the Caribbean. She's a Department of Religious Studies professor, specializing in pastoral and catechetical ministry courses. So, Sister, welcome. And we are happy to have three of you all here with us. So as we talk about spiritual conversations in a digital space, some of Barna research on religion indicates that many of today's younger Christians feel a strong personal responsibility to share their faith. And also, on the other hand, Christians are having more and more faith conversations on social media platforms. Research also indicates that 3/4 of self-identified Christians are reluctant conversationalists concerning religion. More than half agree that technology and digital interactions have made sharing faith easier. That's about 53%. And almost the same percentage says that people are more likely to avoid real spiritual conversations than they were in the past because they're so busy with technology. So, Sister Angela, and we're going to go with you first. My question to you is, what are your thoughts and your experience, your vast experience in light of this observation that I've just stated? Why do you think that Christians are so reluctant to talk about their faith?
No, thank you. And I think that's an excellent question. I think today we live in a multicultural, fragmented, and pluralistic culture. And people are concerned about how other people are going to react or respond to how they are going to express or talk about their faith. And so there's a kind of reluctance there about saying, what is it I believe? So if I have a belief system that may be more traditional or to the right, and I hate categorizing this because I think this is part of our problem of labeling right and left and conservative and liberal. But I think when people feel that their expression on the right or is conservative, and then on the left that may be more progressive or more social or action orientated or more engaged in a new prophetic way, we have to find ways to talk about it together, but we don't know how to dialogue this diversity together. And I think that's the challenge that we face today in religious expressions. It's how can we sit down? I mean, as we age, as we age, I mean, really age, like from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50, 60, 70, 80, our faith expression changes. We have We have new experiences of God in reality. So we need to find ways to talk together. But I think we're reluctant because some people are very judgmental of other people. And because of that, they don't want to share about their faith. Even more so within families. Families don't want to talk about the sharing of their faith because it will create a family tension. If I talk about what I believe and you believe, we don't know how to really talk with one another and simply accept that understanding.
So, and do you find this even more acute on the digital platforms? Because normally, the more you talk about your faith, the more you share your faith, the more your faith deepens. Noelle, you want to give some examples? What is your experience on your Catholic University campus there at Dayton on sharing those spiritual conversations that Sister spoke about, but on a digital space?
Sure. So I definitely think students like to have the opportunity to share their faith. They're so excited because in college, it's really the first time that they take ownership of that faith and, take that on for themselves. And so watching them learn how to drive their own bus and have those big conversations is essential. And having those digital opportunities for students to engage. I know we use GroupMe, which is an opportunity for them to have group chats a lot. We offer Instagram, videos and photos of events that we've had to kind of communicate what's happening around campus. But I know that we don't just offer things for Catholic students either. We also provide great opportunities for people of all different faith persuasions, because that's a really important part of our campus ministry experience.
Wonderful, Noelle. So basically that fair that Sister spoke about, you're offering them a safe space, a safe digital space where they can express their faith. I understand. Noelle, is there anything peculiar with differently abled? You work with the differently abled, yes? And their use of digital spaces, is it different? How is it? Can you share that with us?
I would say it depends on what community. I know the deaf community really appreciates having the ability to use digital spaces. That's a great way to communicate because it's difficult to be together, right? It's an unusual situation with the deaf community because they're spread throughout the world. Anyone can be born deaf. And so the opportunity to connect online and digitally is essential. And for people who are blind or maybe have low vision, it's really important to have that accessibility component where people can use screen readers or their alternative devices for communicating. But digital opportunities are a great way for us to reach people with disabilities because they're online and it's a really prevalent community there.
Beautiful. And do you find that they freely share their faith experiences?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a part of a couple of the deaf community's Facebook pages that they have available, and there's a lot of really wonderful things that happen there. We have some deaf priests spread throughout the world that do a lot of stuff online. And for people who are deaf who want to attend Mass and don't have it in their language in AFL, those deaf priests provide that digital opportunity.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Noelle. So let's go to that clip from that slide from The Chosen. You see that there are comments here. Christianity and organized religion are two totally different things. This is what our people are saying on the digital. These are digital conversations, actual digital conversations. Religion is man-made. Sin has caused suffering, not religion. You see, so they're trying to blame religion. And it's really sin. Religious people have been shown to be a cause for good in the world. So you have varying views online and on these digital platforms, actual spiritual conversations. There's no such thing as a perfect church. If you look on the left there, it says perfection can be found in Christ alone. So it's a little forgiving. There is without morals of religion. So it's more moral-based instead of organized religion. Richard, you are responsible for University of Dayton's virtual learning platform. What is changing within your cultural context that may be influencing people's attitudes and engagement with religion, some of which we've just seen on those slides from The Chosen?
It's a very good question. I think we look to history to begin to discern an answer for that. And it has been shown many times that culture reflects religion and religion reflects culture. It's no surprise to know that in today's current culture, polarization is one of the major influencing factors. And the other that I do not think receives enough attention is a lack of core truths, that one's own truth is the truth. When you bring these two pieces together, what you ultimately end up with is going to be a desire for some sort of centering in the person. And what we have discovered on our virtual learning courses is that as students approach our courses, whether it be out of choice or if they're coming at it because it's a requirement for certification for their job, that they're discovering that the truth is lying in the discovering of the meaning of what a religion brings to the person and the individual within the context of community. And once that's established, then they can begin to feel and understand that religion and Christianity are not two opposing things, that religion is a form of operation of the Christianity brought forth in the person of Jesus Christ. And that Christ's church in itself is this idea that is a way of living as a group of people to be able to serve others.
Right.
We find, as Noelle had indicated with the deaf community, that in our virtual learning community, we have courses for people all over the world. So in any given course, you may have people from Asia, from the United States, from Australia, from Canada. And as they interact with each other and begin to discover their commonalities, then they begin to remove that polarization that has kept them so distant from each other, and then come together as Christ asked us to, and be one body in his name.
Right, yes. So that discovery of commonalities also eradicates that fear that Sister was talking about, that fear to express yourself on a digital platform. Because you know, Richard, when people have a solid online digital presence, as you do, as the three of you do, or use their social media in their ministries, there are many positives, but sometimes there are negative, a lot of negative feedback. I would like to hear some of your experiences on that. But first, let's take a look at one Instagram example. It's a Trinidadian example. It's a young man who goes by the handle Catholic Fire. Let's take a look at that clip. This is about negative feedback as opposed to the positive feedback that sharing your faith online can expose you to. And of course, exposure to that fear that Sister was talking about.
I remember before I started a Catholic page on Instagram, I sent a DM to a person who has a huge Catholic following on Instagram. Yeah, she has like 100,000 followers or something like that. And you know, I was just asking her for some tips and stuff to give me some advice as to what to do before starting a Catholic page. And one of the things that she told me was that you now have a responsibility of every word that comes out of your mouth on social media. People will now be looking at those words and looking at everything that you post in line with what a Catholic Christian is supposed to believe, act, and say. You know, and it's a heavy responsibility that a lot of people don't take seriously, because you now have within your power, so to speak, the ability to lead people closer to God, or the ability to cast people further away from God or out of church just by your decisions, your good decisions and your bad decisions. Yeah.
One of the things that a lot of people struggle to deal with the whole perfection of social media is that of like with hate comments or hate DMs.
Yeah.
You know, as a person who's put themselves out there on like fully for a cause, as we'd say, and that's a whole next topic we'll touch on just now.
Yeah.
What has been your kind of comments or DMs that you've dealt with having, be it hate-based or positive, you know, around going with the way you went?
I'll start with the hate first. So I remember in one of my earliest posts, I posted something about the church relating to the Vatican and stuff like that. And my phone started vibrating like crazy at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I see, well, who messaging me this hour, you know? So I get up, I check my phone, and it's like 12 DMs from one guy from Brazil who was telling me that the Catholic Church is the whore of Babylon and the Pope is the Antichrist, and you need to be saved because you'll burn in hell, and you need to find the one true God, and all Catholics are going to hell. And it was honestly, it was mind blowing to me that somebody, and I mean this person is in my same time zone because they're in Brazil. It's mind blowing to me that somebody would look at a post about the church, and I didn't even say anything like offensive or sensitive or anything like that. It was just about the church, right? And this person took so much offense to what I was saying about Catholic Church being the truth and whatever the case is. Took so much offense that he decided to attack me personally and say, "You are going to burn in hell, and you need to be saved," and all of that. And it was honestly a shocker for me, and I had to step back and say, "Wow, am I prepared for all of these negative comments that will come from people who disagree with your stance?" You know, I had to absorb that. I had to pray about that, and I had to go back to the start in my mind and ask myself, okay, why did you start this? Why did you start this page? Did you start this page to just be liked? You know, did you start this page just to have positive comments or positive feedback? No, you started the page to share truth, regardless of the feedback. You know, there's a speaker by the name of Jordan Peterson who I listen to a lot. Not sure if you're familiar with him. He said, "Tell the truth and let go of the outcome." You know, and I resonate a lot with that, because a lot of people want to control the feedback that they get from others. But your responsibility is just to tell the truth. Your truth. My truth is I believe in Christ and the church. I'm gonna tell that truth. Whatever the outcome is, if you like that, praise God. If you don't like that, I'll pray for you. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna take personal offense and lose sleep and say, "Oh my God, he said this horrible thing," you know?
You heard Jamiki's experience with his hate DMs. You know, it's unfortunate in a way, but we need the negative and the positive to grow stronger. So tell me, from your experience, what have been the responses you have received from those who are attracted to your online digital presence?
Yes, I really could relate to what was indicated there in that conversation. I've always felt that social media is a bit of a double-edged sword. So like I said, you're going to get both the negative and the positive comments. But I think what we need to realize at the same time is this is nothing new. Even prior to social media, there had always been people who would have this. The digital media platforms allow people to be, their voice to be more readily heard, or people get more readily exposed to it. Now, is that a negative or a positive? I guess it depends, from my perspective, on what you're able to do with it. If you allow it to be a moment for engaging in conversation, then you've really got a positive way of being able to let the impact be something that others can see your approach to it. Certainly, you would not want to throw back at someone the same negative feedback that you're receiving, nor do you want to shut down conversations. But I think what we need to understand is that when you have an opportunity to engage in a positive way when at all possible. I think it's a lesson I learned from my father. It's going to do no good if you hit back, but if you smile back, which he always said, then you'll really disrupt a person's thought process, and then you get a chance to really talk to them.
Yes, I understand. Just kill them with kindness. So
that would be a good way of putting it, yes.
There are many ways to express our faith through social media. So we post symbols as our profile picture, Catholic Christian symbols, including a Bible verse in your personal information, sharing faith-based articles, sending encouragements and prayers in response to friends' postings. So we're going to look here now and see the Archdiocese of Port of Spain using their website page for blogs. So let's just take a look at that, and then Sister, I'm going to ask you something after that. Let's take a look at that website page. Here is a blog for single women. It says, "Do you notice us, the career woman, the single mothers, woman who stayed at home to take care of aging parents, woman without a family?" And then this created a whole conversation coming from this. Sister, you see, this is the conversation here. So actually, you see in Marina, Austin there, I can also relate in many ways, and this echoes my sentiments as a single mother. So it touches and concerns women and men. If you look on the other side, Gary De Freitas talks about a safe Catholic space where people can get together and date and meet. So it has sparked conversation in that digital space. So, sister, what other ways do you recommend we consider for sharing our faith on social media?
I think that's a great question. You know, there's a yin and a yang to this. There are those who will always go to the Catholic blogs and websites so that they talk within that same framework of people who have those common interests. And yet at the same time, there are significant groups of people who don't go to those websites who we have to reach out to. I think our challenge is, how do we proclaim the good news through, not just through our singular focused ministries, but how do we reach out? So so the question is, how do we share faith?
Yeah.
I think very simply, there's a simple answer to this, is that when I really believe, how do I share the faith with my family? When I communicate by way of the email, whether I do my tweet, not to over proselytize, but how do I just simply share what I believe and what is important to me in my faith? I think that's the simplest way today that I think that we really need to consider. I think all these other processes are really important, but there are people that we miss that simply don't go there.
Right, yes.
Because they're not interested in going to this. So I think how we begin is how we live our faith individually.
Yes.
And how we speak about our faith, and in a way that doesn't threaten other people, but in a way that invites them to say, wow, you really believe this. It's integrated into your life. So I think it's a combination of how we not only communicate versus social media, but also outside of the social media context of structured situations and how we speak with one another.
Right.
That's
yes.
what's really important.
So basically, you're saying, sister, bloom where you're planted. You have a reach, a diverse reach within your own life, with your family, your friends, many of whom are not Catholic, and in your workspace, and how you respond to emails, and how you respond to situations in your own life. Noelle, you have any other ideas?
I think social media is a really great opportunity to direct people in new ways, right? So if you have a website and it's not getting a lot of hits, getting it out there on social media, even doing a little social media advertising is so inexpensive that it gives you a great platform and an opportunity to get people to where you want them. And you can do that in a really engaging way that kind of pulls people in and gives them the chance to engage before they even get to that page, right? The trick with social media and digital communication, though, is it has to be really appealing really quickly, or very thought-provoking very quickly, or you're not going to grab those people the way that you want to, because there's going to be something more interesting that they can interact with. So just having those opportunities is wonderful.
Yes, you know, you have led us right into the clip, and thank you, both of you, for your great ideas for engaging spiritual conversations in this digital space. We're going to look at a clip now, and Noelle, it speaks about what you said, that you have to grab that attention. It must have that wow factor, and it's really filters and fake narratives. So it's Jamiki's experience again. Let's go to that clip now and see what he's talking about, that and that wow factor.
The younger millennials and the generation right after them, so maybe the 13 to 18 generation and the 18 to 25 or even 18 to 30, that generation there, most of the younger ones, what they portray on social media, it's filtered, it's perfected, you put up the perfect picture. If it doesn't get 2 or 3 likes within the first couple of minutes, you take it down. You know, I know people who do that, you know, and you try to ensure that things are absolutely perfect before you post it, because you want the likes, you want the follows, you want the shares and that type of thing. And then you have people who are looking at these images that are on social media, that are filtered, that are perfect, and then they're looking at themselves and they're saying, I want to look like that, I want to be like that, I want to have the perfect selfie too. So it becomes a validation competition. You know what I mean? And I think that's the age we're living in right now, where it's a validation competition. Who could get more likes? Who could get more followers? Well, many people, they post a perfected life on Instagram and on social media, and that's something that people don't really talk about, So every picture on your profile is happy and smiling and joyful and wonderful. So when you look at it, you think to yourself, if you're not in a good mood, you think to yourself, I wish I could be happy like that person. I wish I could be smiling. I wish I could enjoy life, or you know what I mean? So it's false narratives. It's false narratives.
Really interesting. Now, in a way, we all put on a public self and a private self. You don't actually leave your house looking the same way that you stay home, So is this really different from what we do normally? Because how do you stay real and truthful, for example, on TikTok and Instagram, when there's so many filters and trendy effects available? How do you strike that balance between the wow factor and the content of who you are and your faith and what you want to share? And is it all that different from what we do normally? So, Noelle, tell us what you think.
Yeah, I think it's great to use your resources that you have, right? It's really important to let people know the message is honest and true. And I think some of the things that are the most appealing to people are those real person, like very vulnerable posts that people put out there, but you could still use a filter or have it be very visually appealing. That part of things is great. It's great to utilize those resources when you have them so you can match the other things that we're contending with on TikTok and in other digital media situations. But being very truthful and vulnerable in your presenting and just being very honest and focused on the gospel truth that we're trying to project and put out there is essential.
Yes. I totally agree with you, Noelle. Sister, strong faith communities and parish ministries, there's a balance that needs to be struck between one-on-one interaction and parish participation, active parish participation, welcoming online social media presence. How is that balance struck? How do you see that blend in our parish ministries today?
I think this is a very important question and issue. We can do all the social media work we want to do, but if we need to have a community by which people come back to physically interact with, that they feel that energy and that passion and that love that exists within a parish. So I think, I often say, when we invite people back to the parish, like at Christmas or Easter, what are we inviting them back to? What has changed in that parish that will create enthusiasm and deepening their faith? We can't invite them back to something that was always existed before. So I think parish life needs to rethink itself. Parish life needs to become more animated, more inclusive, more welcoming, creating more opportunities and diversity of spirituality to working together. Now, people will tell me, Sister, we don't have a lot of those kind of people in our parish to do that. We do. We think of scarcity. We should think of abundance. We can be educating many of our lay women and men to become leaders in these different diverse ministries. So I don't think it's either or. It's not social media versus parish. They are together. They come together. And how we can create that, that's the challenge of the 21st century. That's what I believe.
Yes, and I think you touched on the glue that is going to bring those two things together, and the glue is the love that comes from the Spirit that exists, in our church, and that's the love between God the Father, God the Son. So if you say, what do they come back to? They will come back to that feeling of love and inclusivity. So I think you've actually answered your own, what you posed to us. So thank you so very much. So any closing remarks from Richard? You want to say anything else as we close?
I'd like to add one little comment of encouragement to those who are listening who could possibly wonder why bother to keep trying. Well, the reason to keep trying is each of our individual selves, we feel the truth in us and we know what it has done for us personally. Yeah. Take that story and share it. And if you share it honestly, you will touch that point inside each person in some ways that you will never understand or know, and become, as Saint Romero said, prophets of a future not our own. Extend beyond what you can see, and realize that the church and your story in the church is not an individual one separate from everyone else's, but linked. And if you can touch a link, live it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Richard. That's at in the light of abundance that Sister was talking about too. So very, very true. Thank you, all three of you all, for your really thought-provoking discussion here. We really appreciated it. I'm sure the viewers appreciated it. Sharing your years of experience on digital spiritual conversations in a digital space. We have so much more to go, so many hearts to touch and reach. But according to what three of you all have said, stay true to the church, stay true to yourself, and just really act out of love, whether it's in a digital space, physical space. Once you act out of love, then that's what touches people's hearts, and that is what they will come back to. So Sister Angela Ann, Richard, Noelle, thank you very much. Viewers, thank you very much, and God bless you all.